Good evening. On behalf of the True North Organizing Network, I would like to welcome you to our Candidates Forum for the Crescent City City Council. But before we get started, we have a quick message from our translator, Walter Reyes.
Si alguien en la llamada esta noche necesita traducción al español, por favor levante su mano virtual y ahora mismo para que sepamos quién es usted. Para recibir interpretación, debe hacer clic en el símbolo del globo terráqueo en la parte inferior derecha de la pantalla que debería de aparecer si no está ahí momentáneamente.
Good evening. Buenas tardes. My name is Patricia Black, and I have lived in Crescent City for over 30 years. It's my adopted hometown. And I have been a leader with True North for about 8 years because I love my hometown and I want it to be the best it can be for all of us. Welcome to tonight's City Council Forum. There are 3 open seats. 2 incumbents decided not to run again. Tonight, we get a chance to meet some new candidates. With us tonight are candidates Raymond Altman, Alex Campbell, Herman Wrinkle, and Bo Smith. Unfortunately, incumbent candidate Jason Greeno refused to join us tonight. We are glad to see so many people interested in local government, and I hope you are as excited as I am to get to know the candidates. We're here tonight to listen to them share their vision for our beautiful city and to get their answers to questions on topics that we hold in our hearts. It is important that we acknowledge that Crescent City is built on the site of Dune in the ancestral and current homelands of the Talwadani, and that our mutual history is filled with grief, pain, and injustice, but that our future can be full of hope and healing if we build relationships with each other. We join with Dale Miller, chair of the Elk Valley Rancheria, J. Tuck Steinrach on behalf of the Talwadani Tribal Council, and Lauren Bomelin, noted artist, historian, linguist, and teacher, to thank the mayor, the city council, and our city manager for Monday's proclamation of Indigenous Peoples Day, a move toward healing and a shared understanding of our history. And now I would like to introduce Mike Tompkins, who will talk about True North Organizing Network.
Thank you, Patricia. My name is Mike Tompkins, and I've been a leader in True North for over 5 years. I was attracted to this organization by the idea that I could actually have a positive impact and effect on the conditions and processes that make this community what it is. My family came here in the late 60s, bought property in Fort Dick, and made this our home. I love this community and this land, and I intend to stay here to the end. And that is why I work with my fellow leaders to make this beautiful place even better for us all. True North Community Organizing Network is a nonpartisan organization working in Del Norte and Humboldt counties and adjacent tribal lands, where families, elders, youth, and individuals of diverse faith traditions, races, cultures, and economic capacities. True North is a member of the Faith in Action National Network, one of the largest community-based efforts in the country, working in over 140 cities and 17 states. And we are affiliated with Pico, California on a state level. We believe that human dignity is the heart of justice and progress, and that for a true and honest democracy to thrive, every person needs the opportunity to be heard and respected and to have a say in the decisions that shape their lives. We believe that when people have power, they can protect the things that are important to their families and their communities, and that one way to have power is to build strong, broad-based grassroots organizations. We believe in providing community leaders with the tools, the coaching, and infrastructure needed to create the kind of systemic change that can help everyone in our community thrive. I'd like to list some of our community organizing successes, which include developing and delivering to the school superintendent a program and toolbox for increasing family engagement in students' education. It includes providing significant input into the language and content of the school district's updated bullying district policy that was unanimously passed in December of 2019. It includes successfully advocating for the addition of one more counselor in Del Norte elementary school sites through the 2018-2019 process of the LCAP community input meetings. It includes getting a resolution to end homelessness passed unanimously by both the Crescent City Council and the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors in the fall of 2018. At the beginning of 2020, we formed the Housing and Homelessness Advisory Group made up of stakeholders from across Del Norte County. And for the last several months, this group has been supporting our community members, working on local emergency shelter efforts, working on bringing in more transitional and permanent housing, and collaborating with the county on their efforts to provide more support and housing in our community. Thank you, and now back to you, Pat.
Thanks, Mike. We are excited to hear how the candidates will respond to the questions we've prepared, but before that, we wanted to go over some background and expectations for our meeting. Number one, we want to host this forum in a way that respects everyone's time, so we ask that all speakers please stick to their time limits and pay attention to our timekeeper, Denise. And if you can't see her now, you might want to move your screen around so you can make sure and see her. She's holding up the 1 minute sign. Number two, tonight's questions were developed by a team of True North core leaders with input from other community members. They're based on issues that have come from active work we are involved with in this community, as well as reflect some of the current issue priorities of True North leaders and the community members that we are in relationship with. Three, all candidates were invited to attend tonight's forum and each received the questions in advance in order to develop thoughtful responses, with the exception of one question that they received this morning based on the Indigenous Peoples Day proclamation, which the city just passed on Monday. And number four, each candidate will have 3 minutes to answer the opening question and 1 minute for a closing statement. For all other questions, they have 2 minutes. When candidates are asked a question, they should direct their answers to members of the public who are actually here, although you can't see them. This is not a debate, so please refrain from commenting, referencing, or attacking another candidate's positions or statements. All panelists should remember to stay on mute when you're not speaking. Thank you and enjoy the forum. Now it's time to meet the candidates. We will begin in alphabetical order and then the order will rotate randomly on each question. I will keep track for you. Now, each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves by answering the following question. As you just heard in our credential, True North is a nonpartisan, values-based organization. Please tell us what your 3 to 4 core values are and how they will inform your decision-making if elected to City Council. Please also give an example of how your values influenced an important decision you have made in your life, or how your values would have influenced your decision in a recent City Council decision. So this opening statement, we begin alphabetically, so I will call on candidate Altman to begin.
Okay, so core values. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm Ray Altman. I'm on the Planning Commission, and I've lived in this community for about close to 16 years, and I've kind of adopted it as my hometown. And as far as core values go, honesty is paramount, dependability, and then trust. And you can throw a little compassion in there and open-mindedness. But My profession is an accounting officer specialist, and I'm the custodian of a wide variety of negotiable instruments. So every decision I make has depended on these values. Being on the council, it's not just me that it's the collective of values in our community that makes the final decisions. And I have to trust that the public comment, the research, the subject matter experts, and very talented city staff all give me the information I need to make those decisions based on a collective value system. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Candidate Altman. Now I will call on Candidate Campbell.
Hi, hello everybody. Thanks for having me. My name's Alex Campbell, and I moved here about 10 years ago and absolutely fell in love with the place. I too want to stay here till the end. I believe this town has a ton of potential, and when we tap into it, we're going to make this a great and wonderful community. Some of the values that I'm running on are economic development, fiscal responsibility, having a safe and clean city, creating opportunity. I used to run a $27 million business in this town, and I believe I have the skills necessary to help out with the city council and give it good direction. Some of these values that have influenced me to make an important decision in my life is actually running for city council. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being elected and getting to make decisions for this community that give opportunity to everybody. I appreciate you having me, and I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Candidate Campbell. Our next candidate is Candidate Wrinkle.
Had to find my mute. I didn't expect it to be me. So I guess you caught up to me already. All right, so I came to Crescent City. I actually moved into Crescent City proper about 2 years ago. I bought a fixer-upper, and it took a little bit of time fixing it up. And became a permanent resident maybe about 18 months ago or so. But I moved into the area in 2011, and before that I had spent numerous trips up here to vacation before deciding that if I could ever make a living up here, this is where I wanted to be. In fact, I decided that if I never could make it up here and make a living, I was going to retire here because I loved it here so much. But anyway, to get to the question, so my 4 core values are honesty, integrity, responsibility, and accountability. And to me, as a public servant, that means I provide a service to you or for you. I'm a representative of your voice. I believe these core values should be instilled in every public official and rudimentary in every decision that's made. These core values were instilled in me by my parents, and I've carried those values through to my children. They permeate every decision I make. There are many times in my life where I've had to make hard decisions, city council being one of them, like Alex. And it took a bit to make hard decisions. And let me back up. I've had to make hard decisions and sort out difficult situations. So whether it was being a real estate broker, which is one of the many facets of my life, making sure I met my fiduciary responsibilities, competing with real estate interests, or working as a public servant for the state of California for the past 22 years. I've always tried to find the best solution, the fairest solution, and not just the easiest solution.
Thank you. And now it's Candidate Smith.
Am I unmuted? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I'm Bo Smith. You know, I've been here for my whole life. I did move away briefly. I work in the woods. I cut timber, so I did do a little stint up in Washington and Alaska. But I returned home to the place I was born and raised. And I love it. I love everything about living here. I was lucky to grow up here. So, yeah, let me move on with my what's my core values are. And honesty, trustworthy, dependable, my faith, and I have 5, and I'm going to go ahead with it, and it's courage. To me, courage, I put it at the end, and I made a note by it. The courage to do things, courage for all of these things that aren't popular. Not everybody agrees with them, but they're the right things to do, and having the courage to do them or say them. It plays a lot in my life. So I've been on the fire department for 15 years in February I was with Crescent Fire Protection District, and then I was on I had to have the courage to do it, the faith that it would work out, and I had to be dependable, trustworthy, and honest to do what I'm about to tell you. I was on their board of directors, and I got to help with the merge of the fire departments. And as a firefighter looking in, being on a board, I'll hurry 1 minute. I had to make a lot of decisions, and I had to vote for the way I felt was right, and I had to vote for my constituents. What did they think was right? And we needed the resources. So I get to lay claim to helping vote to join the fire departments, and that was that was one of the decisions that helped me. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will move to the next round of questions that we have. Each person asking a question will give a brief background on the question topic and then ask their question. And our first question will be asked by Debbie Lewis.
Okay, good evening. Well, we all know the impacts of homelessness on local businesses, but many do not realize the hardships of the homeless. And a few of these examples are when you see someone sleeping in public during the day. Quite frequently, this is the only safe place to sleep, because out of the public view or after dark, they are victims of predators. The homeless have to carry all their belongings with them wherever they go, or else they'll risk having them all stolen. And there are very few places to take showers. I have a positive relationship with many homeless, and they are very fine human beings. But they're in a situation which is like being at the bottom of a well. And many people go by and they say, well, get out of the well, get a job, get out of the well. Well, the problem is that they cannot get out of the well by themselves. They need a lifeline. And so that's why I joined True North, is to help create a lifeline to help these people. Okay. And so in the past year, True North has been learning from Rogue Retreat of Medford, which operates a tiny home transitional housing project. We hope to build one here. At the county's request, True North formed HAG, which is a Housing and Homeless Advisory Group, to work on housing and homelessness issues in Del Norte. Our work with Mission Possible helped get financing for a year-round shelter. We started planning a transitional housing project in our area. And in 2018, at the urging of True North leaders, the city passed a resolution to end homelessness. And as far as we can see, the city has done little or nothing to end homelessness. So my question, how are you going to honor the city's commitment on this issue?
Thank you, Debbie. And this time I'll call on Candidate Campbell to begin.
Hi, like most cities, we have a homeless problem here, and I think we need to address it accordingly. I believe we need to find properties and secure funding either through grants or other ways to secure funding so that we can get these properties, buy them, fix them up so that we can do as best we can to get shelter for as many homeless as we can. We also need to get services to them so that they can improve their lives and find skills so that they can be employed and become great members of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And now candidate Wrinkle will give us his answer.
Thank you. I guess I'd like to start off by saying that in the very early stages of my life, I actually made some bad decisions and became homeless. And I was homeless and lived on the streets for a few months, lived under a bridge, had to get my food from dumpsters. So I know what it's like to be in that situation. I know how hard it is to get out of that situation. And if it wasn't from the help of others, I would not have been able to make it. So hoping by sharing that with you, that shows you that there are valuable people out there that can come out of it and they can make a difference. I'm hoping I'm making a difference. So I didn't actually plan on sharing that with you guys, but I thought that it was fairly poignant to the situation from what Debbie was saying. So anyway, I'm committed to continuing the city's stance, their proclamation on to end homelessness in our community for good, if we can. There's a problem with that though, and it's where do you get the money to do it? We don't have an income stream to deal with homelessness as a city in our community. So the only way I think that we can deal with it is if, you know, we work with the county or those that have money. The county has been given money to deal with the homelessness situation, but we need to be in their ear. We need to be talking to them. We need to be trying to get them to work not only at the county level, but at the city level, because we're part of it, that they assist in getting the homelessness problem taken care of, not just in the county, but in the city as well.
Thank you. And next will be candidate Altman.
Okay, so a resolution is a firm decision to do or not do something, okay? So I really believe that this resolution is a beautiful thing. It reflects this community's compassion. I don't believe we're looking at the homeless situation through a lens of fear and nuisance. I think we have resolved to do something about it. This community already helps 584 families a month stay in homes. There's a program for displaced veterans, the VASH program, which has been on hold because of COVID, but it is still there and it'll be back. And a lot's being done. And a resolution to end homelessness is not as easy as going to a light switch and saying, okay, ended, what's the next problem, okay? There's so many facets. You might as well ask someone to do something about the Milky Way galaxy. There's so many variables there. There's mental health, there's substance abuses, there's, like Debbie was mentioning, good people that can't be lifted up. There's the funding problem. But I do believe, I really truly believe that with the resolve we have to do something about it, that we can chip away at this goal and we can honor the city's commitment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now candidate Smith.
Okay. Well, I really agree with Mr. Altman's answer. I wish we could end homelessness like that, snap our fingers, but I think there's more to it than that. And I was going to talk a little bit about that resolution. And a resolution is a big deal. It is to me. It's a promise. You are going to do something about it. I hope in my term or shortly after that the answers are there to figure it out. Social services, that's a county entity, but that's one of our biggest industries here is social services. And I think putting the push on them to help with this and hearing the voices, our voices, the community's voices, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? But I will do everything in my power to support that resolution, even though I get the 1 minute sign again, even though I didn't make it, they did. And it's a big deal. It's a promise. So thank you.
Thank you. So our next questioner is Susan Andrews.
So as a community leader with True North, it's important to me that when fiscal decisions that impact the community are made, those whom it impacts participate in this decision-making equitably. The City Council put Measure S on the ballot to add a 1% transaction and use tax on the sales price of tangible goods sold within the boundaries of Crescent City. The proceeds can be used to provide funding of general fund obligations that include things that are critical to this community's health and welfare, such as emergency rescue services provided by the Crescent City Volunteer Fire Department and public safety emergency response provided by the Crescent City Police Department, as well as maintenance of sidewalks and roads and the operation of the pool and other general city services. The City Council will be appointing 5 city residents to serve on an oversight committee to monitor the proceeds under Measure S. Regardless of the election outcome, the City Council will be entirely male-led. This is just one example of how the council will not fully reflect the demographics of our city residents. If Measure S passes, what will each of you do to ensure that this oversight committee represents the broader diversity of this community?
Thank you, Susan. Our first response will be from candidate Altman.
Okay, so ensure that the Citizens Oversight Committee reflects the diversity of the city. So the committee is appointed by the council, and if elected, I won't be the only councilman. So I would say that the diversity almost, it depends on the diversity of the council, because I won't be the only one voting. Okay, so but the point that Susan brings up, you don't know that there's not diversity unless someone lets you know. So with that in mind, it may influence my decision if hey, we need more involvement from women. I wish there were more women on the council. They work harder, they're smarter, and I hope that we can make a fair decision when we do those appointments, and it does reflect the diversity. But I'm not the one that can ensure anything. It's going to be a collective vote for appointments, but I sure will try to be as fair as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now candidate Smith.
Well, I do think that if Measure S passes, that it should, for starters, it's being pushed for 4 departments in the city. I believe that each one of those departments should be represented. You know, again, I'm only one decision out of 5. So if it's a woman, great. I've got 4 daughters. I hope I inspire them to do everything that I can do. So, but I do think that it should be represented. Each department should be represented. That is how the measure is being sold. So also, I wouldn't mind some outside opinions on the oversight committee. Our local tribes, I don't see why we couldn't have a person from each on it as well. I mean, 5 people, I thought there was going to be 7 on it. So, but with 5, you know, but I do think each department should be represented for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Candidate Wrinkle.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what the selection process will be at this point. I don't know how it's going to work. I haven't been educated on that. I'm committed to working with our community and the other council members to gather what I would say are interested and interactive cross-section of our community in the hopes of having a fully represented committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, Candidate Campbell.
If elected, I'll do my part in recommending committee members from varying parts of the community. I think it's important that we have a bunch of different views on how that money should be spent, and they need to ask the question from all those different opinions of why was this money spent in this way. So I'll do my best to recommend and vote for people on the committee from all different parts of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Emily Leonard Rhodes.
Hello, good evening. In my experience working in our community as a domestic violence advocate, I saw some upsetting behaviors from our local police and sheriff deputies. On more than one occasion, I had to physically put myself in between an officer and a victim. I had to assert that as an advocate, I cannot allow them to harass victims currently experiencing trauma responses just because they didn't understand those behaviors. Additionally, there was a notable difference in the response to white victims and Native victims. In the cases of domestic violence within Native families, where officers had to be involved, they would ask if alcohol had been an issue and if the victim were reliable. Did not ask those same questions when speaking with white victims. Because of these situations and the alarming rate at which police officers themselves commit domestic violence, which is 2 to 4 times more than the general public, additional domestic violence training was offered to our sheriff and our police chief and was declined. With all of that in mind, how will you make sure that the city police receive the ongoing training to respond to domestic violence and mental health calls in a way that preserves the dignity of all racial and ethnic backgrounds? And what do you believe the role of the police should be in these situations?
Thank you, Emily. Our first response is from Candidate Wrinkle.
Thank you. There's a little more to that than the original question, so I'm contemplating everything you said. So it's my belief that the police officers are not adequately trained to handle subjects with mental health issues. I know they're often required to step into the role to navigate these difficult and precarious encounters without that said training. I feel it's incumbent upon us to try and resolve these problems. As a city council, as responsible members of our community, we need to police our police sometimes. I think officers need to be taught how to identify and mitigate mental health problems at a low level. And when they realize that they're beyond their skill level, that we have the ability to call somebody from Health and Human Services that might be able to handle a more extreme case. I was not aware that there were these issues that Emily has talked about. As far as I knew, you know, they're very skilled at dealing with domestic violence issues, and they continually receive training. There's you know, there's use of force issues, there's sensitivity training. I know that all of these things exist. So if there's a few bad actors in our department, then, you know, maybe we need to figure out, you know, maybe they need a different calling in life besides being a police officer. I don't know. I don't know who those individuals are, but, you know, if they're being provided the training and they're not doing what they're supposed to, then we need to deal with it. So anyway, I believe we're already receiving, I think they're already preserving dignity and of all backgrounds, regardless of race. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next response is from candidate Campbell.
It disturbs me about the things you said, Emily. And if elected, I'll encourage ongoing training of these for these situations. And if denied that training, I will do my best to hold the departments accountable. I also want to encourage the departments to meet with advocates, organizations like this, to discuss concerns about their behavior. Also, if an officer is performing badly, and I hear about it, I'll do my best to make sure that they're held accountable in whatever way I can as a city council member. Again, it's very disturbing about what you said, Emily, and I'll do my best, if elected, to make the situation better for everybody. Everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Councilman Candidate Smith.
I want to get to that clock, lady. Sorry. There she is. Okay. Well, this question was a hard one for me to look at. I actually had to print it out and read it because, you know, I'm not a police officer, so a lot of their trainings I'm not sure how they'll get. But I am a firefighter, and I know there's resources out there to get trainings in our community. I know we have a huge resource, and that's Pelican Bay State Prison. And they have done a lot of different things here recently with how they deal with their inmates and how they deal with the diversity that's out there. I would, if elected, I would do everything in my power to get those trainings here. And I know with what's going on in the world right now, I'm sure there's going to be some state and federal mandated trainings coming along real soon, probably already being written. So, you know, I think we're a little late to the party as far as getting that. I do think I don't know, Ms. Rhodes, if this was recent that this happened, but I feel like our police department is pretty approachable. I know I've had conversations with them in the past and even recently, and everybody seemed really approachable, and they were one minute again. They really would like to do some of the outreach programs that we used to have, that I used to see as kids. You know, when I was a kid, I remember the officers coming to the schools a lot more. You know, Dean Wilson with his DARE car, and so yeah, we definitely need to educate, and I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Altman.
Thank you. So Jim Gaffigan is a comedian. He has a great joke where having another child or your fourth child is like treading water and someone hands you a baby in the pool. And I don't know if you've ever experienced being short-staffed doing more with less. It makes your stress levels that you already had with your present workload even more stressful. You become frayed over time. It wears on you. You know, officers do receive a use of force training. But I think what we really need is, if Measure S goes through, we can get the priority done first. We get more boots on the ground, help our heroes. They need help. You know, they're there to help us when we need them. And we need to get the boots on the ground. We'll work on the training. We'll have the money will be locally controlled, not some person at a desk in Sacramento deciding on how we should spend it, what we should spend it on, and how much we can have. We'll have the money ourselves to control. We know what it's like to live in a rural community. No one in Sacramento on the 20th floor of a high-rise building knows what it's like to live in a rural community, okay? We have to look at reality here. We have to control our own funds. We have seen a lot in the media this year about you know, police training, defunding the police. The answer is training. I think we're going to see a lot of good training programs coming out of the media, you know, throwing this stuff out there, these ideas. So I do agree with the training aspect of it, not defunding, and we do need our heroes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And our next question will be asked by Jessica Ortiz.
Yeah. So hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience being raised here in Del Norte County. And to say the least, it was the most wonderful years of my life. That was until I was moving on to college and figuring out a life for myself after high school. And going through the education system and living in a rural area, we all know there are extreme challenges. For instance, I'm a first generation Mexican American because my parents migrated from Mexico here to Del Norte County. And I am not the only one in my generation that went through struggles of poverty, isolation, and lack of interest within our community. And in the past few years, when I decided to relocate back to Del Norte County after taking a bold leap and moving away after high school to a different city, only because I used to believe that my Del Norte could not help me with achieving my goals of becoming a successful college student or a college graduate or an important role model onto my loved ones. And of course, the stigma that I hear from all my fellow friends my own age, Crescent City is too boring for young people. And now that I have actually taken on new challenges since I relocated back to Del Norte County, I realize that you don't have to move away to start a career or be interactive with your community. So that leaves me to ask you candidates, how will you create hope and opportunities so that young people living in Crescent City can build a life here to develop a career or profession?
Thank you, Jessica. Our first response is from candidate Smith.
Well, this was another one of your guys' good questions, I thought. So I volunteer a lot in this community, you know, again, with the fire department. I run our Little League. I'm currently the president of our Del Norte Little League, which is 600 kids, which has taken a couple of years to get it there. I have helped with our Explorer program. You know, our job as leaders is to inspire these kids. You know, it's my job as a parent to inspire my daughter to want to do better than I did. And, you know, there's just not a lot of industry here in Del Norte County, Crescent City. I understand that. Believe me, it's been very hard for me to live here. This beauty and this place comes with a price. It really does. But hopefully I can inspire the youth that I'm around to work hard in school, and so they can come back to what industry we do have. I mean, healthcare, you know, we have healthcare. I mean, we have a lot of professions and trades here, but again, it takes education to do it. So yeah, I believe I'm actively inspiring the youth as we speak. My daughter talked about running for class president, and I hope I've inspired her to go further with it. So thank you.
Thank you. The next response will be from candidate Altman.
Thank you. Yes, this on this topic, we have been making some headway. We have a new industry now that we've introduced to the area, the cannabis industry. There are many facets and opportunities in that industry. We've been working on. We have a sidewalk vending ordinance. We have food truck ordinances. Not necessarily maybe a career, but maybe a small business. We have new businesses opening almost monthly right now. We are encouraging business to the area. We work with them. We welcome them. We are creating jobs. As far as careers go, this whole pandemic, COVID-19 thing has opened up a huge world of teleworking. And so I think that will bring more opportunity to the area too, where you might work or have a headquarters elsewhere, but you live in a rural area and are able to work from home or a home office. And so I think the possibilities are there. And that was just to give you a few examples, but I think our community has promised to keep the young people here.
Thank you. And next will be candidate Campbell.
As a city council person, I want to help businesses get started to create jobs for young people. The industry I was in, I had about 95 employees, and many of them were first-time jobs. And to see them thrive and move up the ladder a little bit, and some of them are creating careers for themselves. I think we need more businesses that give young people opportunity for that, as well as make sure that they have access to services that if they don't have job skills or if they need help getting a job, that they can go to these services and get the help that they need to be employed and start careers, and as well as if they want to start their own business, help them do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, now candidate Wrinkle.
Thank you. So I hold this one pretty dear to my heart. I have, I'm a father of 5. I have 3 adult daughters and 2 boys at home. I've had to watch my daughters leave this area with my grandchildren, I might add. So a little bummed about that. Because there's not many professions available and opportunities in our community. While I don't have all the answers on how to do this, I'm completely committed to working with persons and organizations to build a better community that will help our young people not only survive, not only do well, but also to thrive. Where they can be the next building blocks to bring skills and wealth into our community. It is my hope, given the new dynamics of the world because of COVID-19, like Raymond was saying, Mr. Altman, as terrible as it has been on our society, that we will now be able to participate in the world outside of our local area and remain local. It seems there will be new ways to do business and in the future, do business in the future, and we will need to latch onto that. We need to be innovative and use technology to our utmost advantage. We can leverage technology for our youth and become competitive in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final question is from Georgiana Jensen.
Ayukwi, Nek now Georgiana Jensa, Nawalek George, Essie Turwer Ak, Essie Shrega Mewa Metchuk, Essie Nanas Oscar Jensa III, and we have 3 sons and 1 daughter, equaling 4 kids. Tonight, I want to ask you about Indigenous Peoples Day. So as mentioned earlier in this forum, on October 5th, the Crescent City Council passed a proclamation declaring that the second Monday in October would be celebrated as Indigenous Peoples Day. The proclamation proclaims at the end that the city of Crescent City shall continue its efforts to promote the prosperity and well-being of the Crescent City Indigenous community. What does that mean to you? And if elected to City Council, what action do you think the city could take to fulfill that promise and promote healing?
Thank you, Georgiana. We'll start with candidate Campbell.
Well, one thing I love about this area is the rich culture and heritage of the Indigenous people. It's always exciting to learn more about the history of the Indigenous people and see some of their events that they have. And what the proclamation means to me is that we need to do a better job at making sure, again, that Indigenous people have the opportunity that everybody else has to better themselves and services to help them better themselves. I think, I'm sorry, I lost my thought. I would like to see Indigenous Peoples Day be celebrated to a great extent, so that we can bring light to their past, the problems that they're having, and hopefully get awareness of what we need to do to help our Indigenous community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be candidate Wrinkle.
So I support the decision the council made to proclaim that day. Indigenous people have had a rough go of it, and we should work diligently and honestly and openly with Native peoples. I support programs that lend themselves to providing improvement to their lives. This doesn't mean throw money at them. This means we must maintain and foster relationships for the betterment of all society, so that we work in concert to make life better for all. I have close relations to some Native people. My wife is of Iroquois descent, which means my children are also their Native. So also my wife works every day for the betterment of Native lives through health services. So I feel I have a lens into their way of life, and I know how to hear and I know how to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is candidate Altman.
Thank you. So a proclamation is an official announcement dealing with a matter of great importance. Okay, so how could we fulfill that promise? With opening our arms to welcome them to the table. Let's hear your ideas. Let's hear your troubles and how we can help. Treat each other as family. I mean, we got to get through everything together. Unity is prosperity. Okay, so if we can unite and if we can not have so much apathy, more involvement from everyone too. It's not just 5 people on a council or a committee. It's a whole community has to come together if we're gonna uplift people. And I want to be part of something like that. I want them to come to me and be part of it too, though. I want to know what the trouble is, and then we can work on it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And candidate Smith.
Yeah, I got the email. I knew about the proclamation. I think the proclamation is bigger than one day. I think that we could celebrate it one day here. No, it's bigger than one day. You know, all the tribes in the area, they give so much to the youth. I mean, and I got to see it firsthand. I get to see it when we're asking, you know, for Little League, for instance, just for an example. I mean, they give a lot of money, a lot of time, and you know, they're big players in the community already. You know, some friends of mine that ran for the tribal council. You know, I have a couple friends. They inspired that. You know, them doing that's what inspired me to do this. And I just think it's bigger than one day. I think that it should be celebrated more than that, and they should have their input in all things that we do in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now is the time for your closing statements, 1 minute each. The order for closing, yes, 1 minute. Denise is flashing her 1 minute card. So we'll start with candidate Smith.
I didn't know there was going to be, I thought we were just done, but anyways, so I want to go back to my core values and having the courage to even do this forum with you guys. When I was on the Crescent Fire Protection District Board, I was appointed, so I didn't have to campaign. And, you know, win or lose, it was nice to meet everybody. I was a little scared at how this was going to go. You know, I seen some comments on social media, of course, and nothing bad, no negative comments towards me or anybody else. I just, if elected, I have the courage to ask the hard questions and to raise my hand and do what's best for my city, whether it's popular with everyone or not. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is candidate Wrinkle.
Thank you. I also was not prepared for a final statement, but anyway, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for the forum. I think that all the candidates that are running have value. They all have value. They all care. They all want to make a difference. So hopefully, you know, you'll make a decision based on the candidate that, you know, most fits what you think represents you. But I think they're all good people. And I just don't think we're going to go wrong with anybody that's selected this go round. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you. And now candidate Campbell.
I want to thank True North for having me on the forum. I appreciate it. Very interesting questions. I think they're very important issues. Again, going back to my values about economic development, opportunities. I sit on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce because I believe helping businesses to create jobs and opportunity for everybody. I also am chairperson for the board of directors for the Redwood Parks Conservancy. We're the largest nonprofit for the Redwoods National and State Parks, with Susan Andrews actually. But I believe our parks are important because they do bring a lot of economic opportunity to our town, and so I cherish them and I love them and I like getting into them. But again, I want to thank you, and if elected, I'll do everything to help everybody in this community, every single person. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And of course, candidate Altman.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to take a minute because I didn't get to finish answering question 4. The second part of that question was, what role do I believe the police should play in domestic violence and mental health calls. And these calls can be extremely dangerous, okay? I would like to know or get some other ideas on who else we will put at that kind of a risk to send to these kind of calls, other than trained law enforcement. Emily, I loved your story. Thank you very much. I had no idea that things like that were going on, but again, I really, really think that we need that Measure S. Get our people some help. We need to be, we have to have staff. And thank you very much, everybody, for having me on here. Appreciate the coordinated effort, and we'll see you on election day.
Thank you, everybody. Just if anyone is interested in joining True North and doing some phone banking, we do that on Mondays, and we invite anyone that wants to join with us to do that. The next upcoming political sort of meeting is next Tuesday at 10. That's the Board of Supervisors meeting, if anyone's interested in going to that. Now that you have had a chance to see which candidates best represent your values, mark your ballot and vote. You should have received a ballot by now. You can mail it, no postage necessary. You can drop it off at the County Registrar of Voters at the Flynn Center or in the drop box at City Hall. You can also take it to your polling station on Election Day, November 3rd. If you have not received a ballot, call the registrar at 465-0383. It's not too late to register. You have until October 19th, but do it now. Just a shout out that True North encourages you to vote yes on Prop 15 and no on Prop 20. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, candidates, for your thoughtful answers and for your willingness to meet with all of us. Good night.